Hey kids! The internet is a wacky place, usually used today for Twitter arguments and for Facebook moms to overload your messages with crappy minion memes. But most likely, you don't know the half of it when dealing with how the heck we got from this to this.
Beautiful. So picture it's the early 90s and a man named Nikola Tesla was the first who thought of an idea that was pretty similar to today's internet. He had the ingenious idea of hooking a global messaging system to broadcast information around the world. But unbeknownst to him, a man named Guglielmo Marconi had already sent the first long-range message from England to Canada in 1901 using long-range radio transmissions, sending a message that simply read S in Morse code. Clearly inferior to today's internet, but keep in mind it's the 1900s. You take what you can get at this point.
Now for Tesla, I'm sure he felt very inspired and challenged to make this happen now, but his donor later backed out, causing this idea to fail. Now the next major breakthrough was in 1945 with a man named Vannevar Bush who made the essay, As We May Think, which was just Tesla's ideas of a global communication system but in much more detail. Also talking about a hypothetical device that could be used to store information and data across the world, called the Meme X. He's usually the one credited with being the first to create the concept of the internet, but we all see Tesla giving him the death stare from the sidelines.
Now, when stuff really gets going is during the 1960s, where, wouldn't you know it, it's the Cold War. Leave it up to some commie tensions to kickstart some weird stuff. So anyway, it's the 1960s and it's knee-deep in the Cold War, and the Soviets did something. Now, at this point it was basically law that if the USSR did anything, the US was required to go absolutely ballistic about it. So when they sent a satellite that did absolutely nothing harmful, the US officials went wild. So the US, fearing that the telephone lines could be bombed, decided to put its best engineers to create the ARPANET.
Now, ARPANET was nothing special, just a messaging system used to communicate with other world leaders. So in 1969, the first long-range message using ARPANET was sent from the University of California, Los Angeles, to Stanford, California, reading login. You might think this was an amazing feat, and it was at the time, but it only managed to send the letters LO before, in an amazing feat of ridiculousness, crashed the entire system.
Now keep in mind, this was still a pretty big achievement, and these two engineers, Robert Kahn and Vincent Cerf, wanted to expand the already impressive ARPANET. They did this by creating these little devices called Internet Protocol, IP, and Transmission Control Protocol, TCP. These guys won the Turing Award for this invention. From here, a guy named Tim Berners-Lee had the idea to combine these two with ARPANET, and in 1989 made the World Wide Web, the world's first public internet.
This was the perfect stepping stone for the rest of the internet to form, and from here we introduced one of the first web browsers to ever come out, the World Wide Web Worm, which came out for public use in 1993. The first ever online transaction happened in 1994 with the purchase of a CD of Sting's 10 Summoner's Tales, and in 1995 Amazon came out to sell namely books, and then the whole internet really started to kick off around this time.
From here, we start to see industry tyrants showing up too. As previously mentioned, Amazon, but also eBay came out in 1995, Google in 1998, YouTube in its first video, Me at the Zoo, came out in 2005. And from here, honestly, you've probably lived the rest. Now, I know what you're thinking. This mess of a story should probably come out with some sort of meaningful lesson, like nothing is impossible or even the most bizarre things can come to life. But I mean, in reality, we got nothing.
But anyways, we're not Sam and Nella, and you won't be seeing us next time. I quit. This was exhausting. Nope, not again. See ya, bitches.